Honestly, I've been meaning to do this for such a long time. Recently, what had happened was we were getting our bathroom remodeled, and during that time, a lot of the way that I was processing things was just kind of a mess. There was an interference because I feel like the way that we treat our atmosphere, like what we surround ourselves with, directly affects what's going on internally, and vice versa. So, when we're taking care of the things that we need to out here in our external world, it also helps us internally. It helps to bring us balance and help us feel that we have, positive energy. And, the process was like 2 or 3 months. Not what I was expecting, of course, but as long as it got done. Last night, what happened was I was just trying to take in the moment, and I was watching this new Korean drama. It's on Netflix. And okay, off the top of my head, I can't even remember what it's called. I think it's like Hometown Cha-Cha, something like that. But it was really good. It was really good. A very so it's a love story, but it's a love story that has like the way that they set it up is relatable if you were to be in another country. So I remember when I went to go visit my family down in Chile, and they just had a different way of life. They saw things differently. They did things differently, throughout their day. And it was what I would say a much simpler life, but also one that provides you with what you need. Like, people were happy and they enjoyed their lives, even though they weren't like, in my eyes, when I think about like hustling, right? I think about constantly doing something with your time. If I'm not working, what else am I doing? Am I putting together videos? Am I, writing out these layouts? Am I writing a book? There's so many things that you can be doing with your time that you can do so much that you don't realize the things that are right in front of you. And going there, I saw that people had an appreciation. They just enjoyed things more than I did. And watching that, Korean drama, it shows a story about a woman who is a dentist who leaves, this big city, and she ends up at a kind of like a beach, and this had to do with a memory, of her growing up, and I think it also had to do with her mother, and I think her mother may have passed away, so she was really going back there to feel, what it was like when she was there as a child, and there was something else there, right? Something meaningful there that maybe the city was not giving her. And while she's there, she meets a guy who does so many things. It's the same. It's the guy from Startup, but the second lead, okay, from Startup. If you've watched Startup, and he does like everything. He remodels houses. He's a real estate agent. He helps all the elderly, with the things that they go through, and he like sits down. He listens to them. He helps the police. There's just so many things, right? They call him Chief, and it's just it's a different value system of what you do with your time. Like, how are you valuable to the people around you, to your community? The lady coming from the city, she put so much into most likely education and getting to the point where she could do something like be a dentist. and she could live, in a city, and it's just a different way of looking at that. And then, versus somebody who works on like plumbing, painting, remodeling houses, and that there's also value in that. Like I couldn't just start a project and remodel like our bathroom here, right? I couldn't do that. So I know that when I get to the point in my life, like later on, when maybe I'm married, I have a family and stuff, and my wife says, "Hey, this there's a leak in the bathroom, and we'd like you to get it taken care of," then I couldn't be the person who goes down there and fixes that. I would just pay somebody to do it, somebody who's a professional. And but that guy in the Korean drama, he is that type of person. He would be considered the professional, right? The person who trained in that. And and it's a very funny type of love story, because they're falling in love, as they're seeing their differences, and they point these things out to each other, and they get each other upset, and it's all because of the differences of like the way that you look at things, right? And it was nice. It was nice, I was watching that, and then so in my bathroom here, one of the things that I did was I put colored lights in two of the spots there. And thanks again, Kellen, for telling me this, because like I thought that you had to do a lot more if you wanted to put like colored lights, and I thought that you had to like configure it and like do all this whole setup, right? But I just needed to go onto Amazon and then just find these colored lights, and that's all I had to do. Put them in there, and then I have an app, and the app lets me pick between different colors. And last night what I set it up with was, one of them was red, the other one was blue, and it actually made a color, like a tone of pink and like purple. And it brings a whole different vibe to the room, And so going to my bathroom, turning off this main light, but just having those on, it reminded me, hey, this is why you did it. Okay. You guys did that whole remodel so that you could have a better space for yourself, so that every single morning you could feel like when you look at something and you like the way that it looks every single day, you just feel more positive. You receive inspiration. It doesn't, cage you up. It lets you out. And, it's the same way with when I leave the gym in the morning and I get to see the sun, and the sun is coming up. And, being here in Utah, especially, we have these beautiful mountains surrounding us. And you see these tones of orange and purple and blue, and so many people that don't even wake up early enough to catch the sunrise, they don't see that, but I see that every single day. And that is something that lets me out. It makes me feel like I have so much to do, so much I want to do. I'm much more aware, alive, awake, and I'm not I'm not like behind, and I'm not like I'm not like missing this inspiration, There's so many things that I feel like I need to catch up on with you guys. I had my board there behind me. If you can see it, it was filled with different shows that I was going to go to. And we went through just about every single one of them. So we really only have one to go to. And then, of course, this means that we have to fill it up with more shows, But we got to go to so many different shows, from DOS to Millennium. Millennium played in Vegas, and I can't believe I haven't even had the chance to tell you guys about how that was. There was a lot of trouble in the very beginning, finding like where we even sat. It was like a completely hidden place where what I remember is like we're walking through, right? So we went to the Raiders Stadium. I've never been to this place, and this is new, and Millennium got to play there. Like, how crazy is that? And more than likely, that is the only time I bet that he's going to play there. It might have been a once in a lifetime, and then of course he might play in other places. But that show right there, like, I appreciate that I was able to go to that show, and the people who, came with us and were able to enjoy it as well. But as we're like going around, right, I think our row was like 118 or 119, something like that. And I saw like 116, 117, and then there was this curve, right? And we're like walking through the curve, and there's actually like these two spots in the middle there, but I didn't really notice them. And there was like a line of people, so I didn't want to like get behind everybody. I thought that, like, why are you guys getting in this big line? Is it because you're gonna buy something like merch or something? But that line was the one to get in, right? And so we go through this curve, right? And then we end up at like 126, and we completely skipped our seating, and we had to come back, and I had to ask. And one of the guys who was pretty much like going over people's seats and helping them out to let them know where to sit down, he let us know, hey, it's in between that curve. There's a spot there. And so finally we went to go sit down, and man, Elenium played 4 hours. 4 hours. You can watch this on YouTube. If you didn't see it or didn't get to go, like, what other artist plays 4 hours? And I thought that there was going to be these other people playing before him, but to be honest, I don't remember that happening. He did have a couple of people who came out, but those people were special guests. They just played, throughout his set. They played a song which, he collabed with, and I guess that's when they came out. That makes sense, But like 4 hours, and every single song was so good. He just has a way of like transitioning, and he does a lot of songs with vocals, so it's really easy to sing along to. I remember going to Kanye in Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena, and it just like took me back, because when I was growing up, I listened to a lot of Kanye, a lot of the the old songs, Good Morning, Jesus Walks, these songs that like they helped me get through tough times. And I'm not an artist myself. I don't make music like that, so I don't know the whole process that goes into it. But I just appreciate the fact that we get to enjoy good music like that, and that I am able to go to these shows and have those experiences. So being at Millennium, I felt like a similarity, like, oh wow, this is probably a once in a lifetime, being here and getting to enjoy this, and having so many people around you with the same purpose. Like, what's nice about going to these shows is that I don't know necessarily who you are. I don't even know your name. I don't know the things that you go through. But the fact that we decide to take the time to plan this out, to go to this thing, and with any issue that may come up, because there was a lot of issues, like not being able to bring bags in, with any issue that comes up, you still make it work. Okay, that's what that's what touches me, is that all these people did whatever they had to do. Okay, and they got in there and they were able to enjoy a moment where, if we could only stop time for a moment and take in what is happening in front of us. Because a lot of us are not present as things are happening to us. We are going through this very fast-paced life, so much hustle, almost like we are getting behind. But when we prepare ourselves and we go to these things, right? And if you do not enjoy it while you're there, then it just happens. You miss it. So for a moment, I felt like time stopped and we were there at the perfect moment. You know, everything that we had gone through, that we had been working on, all these plans that we set up, all these goals that we set, there's a purpose, there's a reason for it all, you know, and that is one of our rewards that we get to enjoy, is being present in that moment and really taking it all in. So this coming week we have Porter Robinson, and Porter Robinson is one of my top favorite DJs. Okay, so I have three. So I have Don Diablo, Porter Robinson, and Headhunters. And I know that these are three completely different styles of music. You know, Don Diablo's house, Porter Robinson, I guess it'd be more like a sad boy type music. And then Headhunters is hard style, completely different types of music. But, you know, they all helped me out in different ways. And I've seen Don Diablo a couple of different times in EDC, Las Vegas. And every single time I have so much fun. I have so much fun because growing up, I was a dancer and I just really enjoy being able to, feel the rhythm and just get into it, because I don't have those like opportunities anymore to just go out and dance. Not as much in my life, and the times that I do get to, I'm at, a rave or a show or anything else like that. Or at a club, and sometimes the music that is played is not even music that you can dance to. It's kind of like music that you like bob your head to, or you like jump around and stuff. But, Don Diablo, his music is music you can actually dance to. You can feel it. You can count the beat, And Porter Robinson, he is somebody who, while we were going through this tough time, this whole pandemic, I needed something to like really open me up, because I felt like I was running and I was never going to stop, and what we needed to do is we needed to take care of ourselves. We needed to maintain this body better and not just like put our foot on the gas again and again and again and again. And listening to Porter Robinson, it helped me to just take the moment in better. And it helped me to also realize like all these things that I've been carrying for so long, especially, the pain and a lot of the thoughts that you have, they affect your body, and whether or not you even think twice about the things that are said within your mind, that dialogue that happens internally. It's important. It's important that you are being positive, that you're helping yourself grow, When you look at yourself every single day and you see the same thing, sometimes you get tired of it and you completely forget just how beautiful, how amazing, how like you forget everything that you've worked for to get to this place in your life. And sometimes you need a reminder. Last night I was able to have a reminder, and I remember just looking in the mirror and I was like, man, I don't know why I point out these little things, Overall, I'm pretty happy. I'm doing pretty well. Life is good, okay? But I also have to get to that point where I feel like I can say life is good. Earlier today, I was at the gym, and I feel like my body is working so much better now than it has been for a long time. When I was younger, I understood how my body worked, and like when you weigh a certain amount. So for a long time I was weighing maybe 176, 150 around there, and that's tiny. Okay, I'm 6'1", and I was just so used to how I could control my body. And as you age, and also I wanted to grow. I wanted to put on more muscle, but there's so much that comes with it, right? And you don't understand that until you get there, until you get to that point. And so I'm 216 pounds now. 216. Okay. That's huge. And for the longest time, I wanted to be even bigger than that. But for you to be, 40, 50 pounds heavier than you were before, and for you to be able to move your body in a way that you can still control it with energy, with force, with ease, right? Like growing up, I was a b-boy, and one of the things that we tried to perfect was to make our movements effortless, to make it look like we didn't try, and at this point in my life, I still practice that. I still continuously grind it out to the point where I don't have to think so much about it, but instead my body already knows the movement. Of course, it takes time to get to that place where you do have to focus on okay, where am I placing my hand? How am I tightening up my core? Are my toes pointed? For the longest time when I was younger, I didn't even think that pointing your toes mattered, because I thought that it was I thought that I would look too much like a dancer, But pointing your toes while doing a movement gives you that little extra, okay, that little extra height that when I do, let's say, a back handspring, right? When I do a back handspring and then I come up off the ground and I point my toes, I have more hang time to then have the option that if I wanted to do something else, like a back tuck out of a back handspring, then I could. But without that, without pointing your toes, it becomes more stiff, more blocky, and it's little things like that that we can be doing that help us understand, my mind needs to be coming, from the very top all the way down, even down to my toes. And when we do that, then we're able to connect with the body better. That's what I love about going to the gym and about doing these things that require a lot of body control. I've been working on calisthenics a lot lately, and I had this open dialogue with myself the other day that was very necessary about my whole process of what I've been doing, in the gym and physically, and my goals. And I asked myself, I said, with everything that we've done we've mainly been lifting weights. We have competed in strongman before. We've done different things like b-boying and tricking, and with all these different things that we used in order to, better ourselves, what would have been the best route to have taken? If we could turn back time, would we do it? And what would lead to the goals that we have today? And what came to my mind was, honestly, calisthenics would have gotten me there. That's all I really needed. Okay. I didn't even need to lift 405 on a deadlift. Why? And this was part of the beginning of my dialogue, because it's important to be able to vocalize these things, because then we can understand, what are we even doing? What's the point of all this? And in order for me to get my body to a place where I just was like slightly better, right? Where I was lean, because anytime you do calisthenics, you get lean, okay? Like really lean. Calisthenics has, it just, the way that it works your body is, it works your body in a way that is more structured. You do not grow a ton in specific areas. You grow overall, because every part of your body needs to be conditioned in order to do things like backflips, okay? In order to do something like a muscle up. The more that you practice it, the more that your body then just becomes it, because it realizes that it just has to do it, and the only way to do it is maybe to get rid of the excess body fat that you have. Maybe it is to grow just slightly, the arms or the shoulders or the lats. And by doing that, then you're able to perform a muscle up. I'm really close. Okay. I want to, put together a couple more videos here, and then do a little compilation of my progress towards, doing a muscle up. When I was in high school, I had a good friend of mine, John Lee, who was, pretty much into a lot of the same stuff I was into, and he could muscle up. He could muscle up in high school. Of course, he was like maybe 50 pounds heavier than I was, lighter. Sorry about that. Maybe 50 pounds lighter than I was, but still, I've seen people like Cali Muscle do a muscle up. Are you kidding me? How big is this dude? How in the world are you getting your body up like that? But it is possible. It is possible if we can have the right body control, of course, after we create this structured and balanced body, as I was having this dialogue with myself, I asked, of course, the question of like, why do I lift so heavy, and what's the point of it? Because I do see that what works best for my body is controlled movements and light weights. That's what I've used for so many years, and what has actually built my body the way that I've wanted it to be built. And what I came to understand, the whole reason why I would even lift heavy, okay? Of course, there's growth that comes with it. There's improvement, of course. Everything becomes easier, of course. But actually, the reason why I would continue to do that is because there's a feeling that you get when you lift really heavy. And just as an example, doing 405 on a deadlift for the very first time, feeling that weight and feeling that it will not budge. Okay? You cannot play with this weight. You cannot even let the weight hit you in the shins, because if it does, that is so heavy, it is going to tear up the skin on your shins. Okay? So, as I pull that weight and as I dig my heels into the ground and my hips, you have a short amount of time but it feels like forever. That you are barely moving. And as you keep pulling, what you realize is that you can get it. You can finish it as long as you keep yourself in it. Keep your head in the game, right? And as you get it all the way up, you get this feeling. It is like a dopamine hit, okay? And then putting it down, it feels so good that it is a high that you just return to again and again and again. It feels so good. So there is a purpose to lifting as heavy as I want to, or even further than that. Pushing myself to get to the point where I physically have never done it before. But if I push myself a little more, then I can get it. And if we can get that, then we can go further than that. Oh, I love it. I love it. Wow. I was at the gym earlier today and I went outside to do some cardio. Felt really good. I was doing some push-ups with alternating. So I would do a push-up and then I'd alternate my arm and my leg and extend, and then come back down, do a push-up, alternate again the other side, and then I would run through the track, come back, run further down, come back. And after doing this a couple times, I'd lay down on the turf there, and I'd have this conversation with myself. It's important that when we're there and when we're working on ourselves, that we do not get distracted. And the harder you work, especially when we do cardio, the harder you work, the more that the voice inside our head gets louder. And as you have this conversation with yourself, you push through these hard moments. We get in the way of ourselves. Our conscious mind tends to be tied to an ego. And our subconscious mind works in a different way. Okay? It works in a way that it understands everything you've done. I don't care if that was the best day that you had or if that was the worst day that you had. Your subconscious mind saw everything. It was there on both days. It knows exactly what you can do. So the conscious mind is a mind that gets in the way until you do something that puts you in a state of mind, disorients you, and the unconscious comes out. And then what happens is you begin to have this dialogue with your subconscious mind. It is very similar, from my experience, it is very similar to being on acid. It's very similar to being on mushrooms, very similar to being on different psychedelics. It is very similar to being in a fasting state. Okay? All these things have a similarity because instead of thinking that you are just the one behind these physical eyes, that we are so much more than that. We are that, but we are also the body who has been watching the whole time, recording everything. We can talk to that version of us just like our dreams and the things that visit us within our dream. It is just us, a different version of us, a version that can have an open dialogue and that we can work through anything that we are going through and internally going through that we need to get past because it helps us to grow. Any obstacle that gets in our way is something that we need to learn how to go through. Okay? Not around, go through. Because by going through it, we are learning, we are growing from it. And by going around, we are only losing the opportunity to be able to grow from that moment. So, happy to be back. Happy to have had the opportunity to speak to you guys. And until next time, thanks for listening.